Hey, Aaron Adams here with Infinity Investing. Topic of today's conversation is what I want to break down for you is 5 ways in 2022 to get a double-digit return on your money investing in real estate. So 10% or better, and some of these strategies potentially you could make 50 to 100% return on your money. That's how hot real estate is, and it just doesn't look like it's slowing in any way, shape, or form. Now, I've been doing real estate full time for over 20 years. And so I was around the last time the market crashed in 2008. And a lot of people say to me, hey, in 2008, they said the market would never crash. They said home prices were going up. But one big difference, the main reason that we don't think it's going to crash this time is in 2008, we were overbuilt. We had 4 million homes, too many in this country. We had banks giving builders free money to build the homes, and they were just speculating and developing. And banks were giving away liar loans to home buyers, and just anybody could get a mortgage. You only had to have a 600 credit score, and you could borrow up to, I remember they called it a 125 loan, where you could borrow 125% of the value of the property. So not just 100% financing, but you could get another 25% more. So I remember borrowing $250,000 on a $200,000 property. And then I used that extra 50 for whatever. I did more deals with it, but a lot of people were taking vacations and buying cars. And so this time around, we're underbuilt. We're underbuilt probably 4 million homes. And the reason prices have gone up is because we don't have enough inventory. And we know that over pretty much since 1980, that in order to keep up with the demand for housing, we need about 1.7 million new homes built every year. That's between condos and single families. But we need 1.7 million because the population of the United States is growing from children being born, and the population is growing from immigration. And we now have millennials who are getting into prime home buying phase, which is usually late 20s, early 30s. Our Gen Xers are still buying homes, and our boomers are still on the young side and are not looking to sell their homes anytime soon. And so there's no inventory supply that's going to come from any segment selling anytime soon. And there's this huge appetite for home ownership. And when you look at the number of housing permits and housing starts that we've had over the past 4 years, we're barely at that 1.7 million level. And I tell that to you as an investor so that you can understand the 35,000 foot view of what's happening in this country with housing and why you as an investor need to get in the game in 2022 and need to be investing. Now, the first way that you can get ahead and make a double-digit return on your money is to buy cash flow property. Just a couple of weeks ago, I recorded another video for Infinity where I talked about all the reasons why now is the best time to get in the game, and why you don't need to be concerned that you've missed out. And so if you haven't seen that video, you're going to want to check it out, because I go into detail about why there's never been a better time as a real estate investor and for you to get in the game. But if you buy cash flow property, if you buy a property that will make 7, 8, 9, 10% from the rents, then you're getting your foot in the door. And you're moving to the side of the table as the rent taker, not the rent payer. And pre-Fannie, Freddie, pre-1950s, for 200 years, only about 40% of Americans owned homes. 6 out of 10 Americans were renters. Since Fannie, Freddie, since we've had subsidized mortgages and 3% down loans in the 1950s, since the 1950s, homeownership has been right up above 60%. But because Americans are not good with their money, and because wages are not keeping up with home prices, from everything we're seeing, we're becoming a nation of renters once again. And we're going back away from that 68% homeownership that we saw in 2007. And slowly we've been drifting away from that and back towards a nation of renters. And that could get worse if we don't get more homes built anytime soon. And so you getting in the game and buying cash flow property is one of the single best ways, because if you can just make 6 or 7% from the rents, you only got to make 3% from appreciation to make a double-digit return on your money. Very easy to do. We have hundreds of clients that we work with that have been able to make double-digit returns on their cash flow properties. It's something you should consider as well. The second thing I want you to think about is putting 20% down when you buy real estate. Interest rates are so low on investment property that if you buy a property that's making 8%, if you were to buy it cash, but then you get a loan on it and you put 20% down, and the interest rate on that loan is 5% or 4%, you're making a higher return on your money because you're only putting 20% down, and that leverage increases the rate of return. So maybe if you paid cash for the property and would make 7 or 8% cash, by putting 20% down, you'll get up to 9 or 10% with a mortgage of 4 or 5. And so leverage is an easy way to make a better return on your money. So imagine combining the two and borrowing to buy an investment property, and you're getting the benefit of the debt, the leverage, the loan. You're getting the benefit of the rents. You're getting the benefit of the appreciation, and you're also getting tax benefits. And so it really starts to stack and add up and become powerful. And yeah, no one wants to be a landlord. Nobody wants to take maintenance calls. That's why you get a property manager. That's why you find a way to invest passively. And that's why at Infinity, we actually sell deals to our clients. We will be selling in 2022 properties from North Carolina, Indiana, Idaho, and from Missouri, from Kansas City. The third way that you can get a double-digit return in 2022 is by buying home improvement and builder stocks. So think about investing in the growth segment. We're seeing explosive numbers for new home construction filing permits. Those builders are making money hand over fist. So investing in those stocks, home improvement stores like Home Depot, Lowe's, builder stocks, like KB Homes that have publicly traded stocks that anyone can invest in can be fantastic. Additionally, REITs, real estate investment trusts, have been for the last few years and show every sign of the next few years in rewarding its clients with double-digit returns. So if you haven't explored, maybe you've just been an index fund kind of investor, and there's nothing wrong with that by any means, but there are opportunities in the stock market in those growth segments to make double-digit return on your money. A fourth way that you can, if you want to be a little bit more hands-off, is crowdfunded real estate. If you're not sure what crowdfunding is, a good friend of mine, Jake, has a company called Holdfolio, HOLDFOLIO. Check them out online. Holdfolio was a company founded by one of my proteges, and it allows you to invest in real estate as an owner and do so with 1,000 other people. That's why it's called crowdfunding. And you guys are putting up the money for a deal, and your money gets secured in the deal, and you get the rents and the benefits of that deal. And so maybe you don't want to own the actual property, but you want to invest. The market could be great, and so could crowdfunding. And the fifth and final way that I think you could make a double-digit return in 2022 on your real estate investing efforts is to buy distressed housing. Solving somebody else's problem. And there's a lot of inefficiency that occurs on homes that are trashed. That's why they say mold is gold, and foundations are make properties cheap when they're falling apart. And so you being willing to take on lead paint, asbestos, mold, foundation issues, scary things, what I have found is usually a seller will discount a property 2 to 3 times more than my cost to fix it. So for example, they would take $15,000 off the price when it only cost me $5,000 to fix the foundation. They would take $8,000 off the price for asbestos when I can correct it for $2,000. And so taking on a distressed property allows you to literally create the value and create the profits for that deal as you fix those problems. And yeah, it can be intimidating, but there's a lot of resources that we have at Infinity Investing. We actually have a construction class where my personal construction team, we're managing $250 million worth of property and doing all sorts of construction projects. And so I have my personal construction team teach a class with Infinity that you can take and get feedback and advice. And we've even helped Infinity students build budgets for properties. So, there's a nice range of strategies here. Some are passive, some are hands-off, some allow you to benefit of real estate. But the point that we want you to think about here at Infinity Investing is that there's never been a better time to invest in real estate. There's never been a better time to educate yourself on how to get in as a real estate investor. And these are strategies that you want to take advantage in 2022 because we think it's going to be red hot. We're excited about our personal investing opportunities, and we want you to understand why and be able to take advantage of them as well. So thanks for joining me today.